the worst league start ever. Well, not necessarily ever. There was a time where I played Tornado Shot Occultist Poison. If you know, you know. But it's a close second, I will say that. As always, there will be time codes below. And otherwise, enjoy some gameplay of me limit testing a recent change. And we'll talk a little bit about the build and we'll go through it and my plans. It's more of a build video, more so than a actual guide, mind you. Now, this is going to be a Pathfinder Poison. I chose Pathfinder for the sake of my Forbidden Rite future plans. I know everybody has been asking about that. Yes, I am aware of the Transfigurated Gem. Yes, I am planning on some stuff. Don't hold your breath. It's going to be a while. As I stated, I had a very rough league start. My build was squishy, low damage, as well as many performance issues. And the very first day of the league, I just kept getting kicked off the server. And I am on the European servers, and they are crashing more frequently than they are up and stable. I'm not sure if I'm the only one on that. I know that my chat has a lot of issues with it, and I've seen it going around. So I hope you're one of the few lucky ones that might be able to actually get some decent, reliable play in. Also, the league mechanic has been absolutely brutal. My God. It's actually impossible to kill certain super juiced combinations of arch nemesis or even expedition mobs, or certain bosses that are touched by those ghosts, right? My goodness, it has been an incredible experience. You can take that however you want. We'll be going over the gems. We'll be going over my plans. But yeah, the gameplay shows you the tanky version right now. The DPS is a little low. I'm still putting pieces together, but I think now that I've cracked the foundation of the build, having gone to back to my foundations, as opposed to trying to rely on other builds for inspiration and guidance, it actually ended up being a lot better for me. Who would have thought? When I build a character for my own personal preferences, I enjoy it more than if I build it based on other people's preferences. I know. A wild sentiment. Anyway, let's get into the build and we'll talk a little bit about all that good stuff. Alright, here she is, my Turmoil Mate Manifest. Level 93 Wolf's Poison, for those who are following me along on PoE Ninja. It has been a story and a half. I've got some very unfortunate RNG I had to overcome. Not only did Rock not give me any real good crafts at least, unlike some streamers out there who literally click twice and have, you know, a multiple divine worth tri-elemental bow. I'm not salty at all, Garatha. Or the fact that I had to spend well over 6, nearly 7 divines worth infusings to get my 6 link at 30% quality. I didn't start trying to 6 link it until I had 30% quality, and it took me over 6, nearly 7 divines to do so. It is absolutely insane. As you can imagine, it does end up being a problem. But yes, we are a poison Pathfinder. And as a result, this is our gear. We have a basic Thicket Bow, which is a wonderful base. It is a tri-ele bow with an extra arrow and some poison chance. But unfortunately, the mods are terrible. That's the best I could have made myself right now, because Ronk, no matter how much I try, refuses to give me anything better. I don't understand that man. But this is kind of the bow that I would want in a perfect world. I might be able to justify dot multi as opposed to the poison chance on hit, since I'm running a different aura right now. But like I said, I'm still trying to kind of puzzle things out because I'm not following any guide. I'm kind of making it up as I go along. Although I will say, if you want to have an easier time, just follow either Garatha's build if you are comfortable with crafting or using ROG, or just if you want to have an easier time, play Palsteran's totem version. I just don't like totems, so it's a bit of a hassle. Anyway, before I completely digress, let's go into further gear. This is actually kind of a nice piece that I was able to recently manifest. The life is a little low, but it does have tier 1 spell suppress. It has the mana reservation. And of course the craft. Now this is going to be very basic. Ultimately, I want to add some additional stuff on this depending on what I need. But I got the fundamentals here, like the mana reservation and the spell suppress. And of course the conversion, very important. I actually want to do some mana cost reduction, but I'm trying to see which breaking points I can manifest on the implicits, and in combination with the new tincture as well, with increased flask effect, to see what I actually need, because I am running into mana problems once I get too fast. But yes, basic helm, basic helm. Speaking of basic, this is a very, very sad quiver. I need a very specific quiver because I need to hit a certain break point of projectile speed. So I've been trying to craft on one of those feathered ones, and it has not been working out. But yeah, I'm looking for life, some damage, flat or percentage elemental damage. In this case, we crafted flat fire. The additional arrow, phenomenal, of course. A little bit of projectile speed, but we need much more projectile speed. Maybe some dot multi, something very useful. Clearly, massive upgrades still to go. One of the reasons I don't have a lot of currency, as I was stated, is that I had to burn so much on trying to 6-link, which we finally managed to do. And we did it on the lightning coil. It's a pretty good world one, nearly max life, nearly max percentage, high armor and evasion base values. So very happy with how that turned out. Of course, in the future, I hope to maybe double corrupt this. That would be very lovely if we can get like an additional level, or maybe some max res, or maybe some more life. Maybe I'll take that too. Anything that is beneficial will be appreciated. We are also running Asenath. I'm hoping to maybe get a despair corruption at some point in the future, just so I can have double curses, which is why I have this Defiance of Destiny as well to help with the resistances and some sustain. Like I said, I kept dying a lot, so I wanted to be more tanky. I am planning to put the double curse, the Whispers of Doom, on this, but I'm looking to find a more reasonable rolled one. There's a lot of like low min rolls in this one, so I'm trying to get this one sorted before I actually Whisper of Doom it, and until I have a corrupted Asenath, it doesn't matter too much. It has kept me alive quite well since I've changed to it, so I'm very happy about the Defiance of Destiny. My proudest piece of gear so far is this worm skill boot, sadly. I needed a dragon skill, but I'll take what I can get. We have some lovely avoid elemental ailments on the implicit and the max rolled suffix mod, giving us ailment immunity in combination with one of the new jewels. Tier 1 spell suppress, Tier 1 fractures life regeneration. That's going to be the secret to this build. A lot of the Forbidden Rite tech that I used in the past is in this build. We have crafted hybrid life because we already had a life mod on it, and a little bit of movement speed. Once I have more divines, the plan here is of course to lock the suffix, unveil movement speed, craft life, and go from there. That is the plan. Maybe slam something good. Who knows? I might get lucky, but that's currently the plan. Other than that, we have of course the rest of the jewelry. This is a basic amethyst ring, nothing too fancy, just to help get some life and some more resistances. Once I sort everything out, I need to recraft this for more specific resistances, as well as some attributes. I'm currently using a lot of crutches to facilitate that. This is a desperate attempt in trying to get more damage. This is going to be my next upgrade most likely, because as you can see, it is absolutely abysmal. But this is one of the better rings for damage I could have found. I am going to switch soon to a much better ring. It is a work in progress. And of course, this belt is kind of sad, but I need it for the strength, as well as a little bit of life. Tier 2 is pretty good. This was one of the flask belts I was using when I was still relying on a life flask, hence the flask life recovery rate being actually quite useful there. But other than that, I am looking to make a distillery belt, since they recently buffed that as well. So as you can see, lots of improvements to make. But I've only recently cracked the foundation of the build, so now I can start improving it. Now, part of the foundation, of course, relies heavily on the Taste of Hate being up permanently. We have a tincture for all the poison, a little onslaught as well. Definitely room to improve here. In a perfect world, I look for maybe rage, grasping vines, maybe. That I've heard some good things about that, slowing the enemy down. Would be really, really cool. Anything useful, because Chaos Pen doesn't really work on dots, of course. And onslaught is nice, but doesn't help you on bosses, which currently really the main issue of DPS. Everything else just kind of dies. We have a ruby flask with regen, obviously. We have a topaz flask, very lovely. I will most likely turn this into mana cost reduction once I get access to the cinder and unveil it. Or maybe I just buy it from someone else, or use somebody that I know has it and ask them if they want to craft it for me. And of course, a temporary amethyst flask. We do this because I needed chaos res. I could also use a Quicksilver if I wanted to go faster, but with the current league mechanic, we have actually managed to get some movement speed elsewhere. So that's kind of what the gear is. It's very, very early stages. I am incredibly behind, but this is what happens when you have a terrible league starter, right? Like, you fall behind and things are just rough. And that's just a very fair outcome for a lot of people. And I just happen to be one of them. But we're finally getting into gear of things. So I have faith. Now, of course, with the Affliction League, one of the new things, or one of the many new things, are Transfiguration Gems, or Transfigurated Gems. So let's talk about the gems, because this build, no matter which way the wind will end up blowing, will end up using a Transfigurated Gem in its primary and secondary attack. So its primary, right now I'm using Scourge Arrow of Menace, not the channeled base Scourge Arrow, for that thing is abysmal. Scourge Arrow of Menace, however, is not a channeled skill and can be used as a primary source of attack. It's lovely. I'm actually quite fond of it right now since I've been messing around with it. I was using it as a secondary, but having switched to it as a primary, I'm kind of growing on it. Now, it's using Unbound Ailments. We are a poison build. We are using elemental damage with attack. This may seem weird, but we're trying to skill elemental flat damage, like with a tri-bow, and then use that through the tincture to get all the poison, right? So elemental damage with attacks, or even awakened elemental damage with attacks later, which will protect us against Reflect, which is very good for all the farming I will do in the end game that you guys know me for. It's going to be very, very lovely. Now, on top of that, we use GMP. I find GMP to be a lot better as a primary support gem when you use Scourge Arrow as a primary skill, is what I wanted to say. As a secondary skill, I find Arrow Nova to be better, but I'm using it as a primary, so GMP. Arrow Nova makes it more feel like Toxic Rain, and I do not find those vibes positive. Vicious Projectile, just a wonderful poison boon right there as well, and returning projectiles. Now, this is why we need a new quiver. I think there's a breakpoint somewhere between 50 and 60% projectile speed that allows you to return some of the projectiles, because without that, only the base projectile comes back, as you can see. The actual thorns, not so much, but once you get enough projectile speed, those thorns will also return, and you get an additional amount of hits that's really going to make Scourge Arrow feel very, very good, not only for clear, but also for single target. So we're looking forward to that in the future. Also, Scourge Arrow of Menace has pierce all targets, so we don't have to actually get pierced, which saves us a couple of points in the passive tree, which we'll go through in a little while too. Now, on the secondary attack, which is still regrettably a 5-link, because I don't want to waste too much divines trying to 6-link a weapon I don't love, is going to be Caustic Arrow of Poison. I have this here in an attempt to boost my single target. I'm not sure if it's going to stay Caustic Arrow. Maybe I will switch to Storm Arrow of Conduit. I have one of those. I walked around with it quite a while when I was using Caustic Arrow as a primary skill, which also feels very, very, very good. So don't worry about that if you prefer Caustic Arrow. Very lovely. Like I said, we're very much in the testing phase. And on this 5-link, we're using Life Tap, which is a result for, of course, Mana Forged Arrows. If you Life Tap a Mana Forge, it doesn't cost mana, so it will trigger on cooldown when you cast your primary skill, if it's a bow skill, of course. We're using Greater Volley because the overlapping AoE effect of Caustic Arrow can shotgun, and with Greater Volley it does so better, unlike GMP. And of course, Vicious Projectile, because it's just a wonderful damage bonus. I am planning to add Unbound Ailments once I 6-link it. Right now I'm using Herald of Agony, just for the additional poison chance and damage, because I was moving things around. I'm not sure if Herald of Agony is going to stay. I think it is, because that might make the bowcraft easier, or maybe I can optimize the passive tree a little better, based on certain passives I take to get my poison chance. If I don't have to take those, I can take the other way around and get more damage values, right? So we'll see how that goes. So those are the two 6-socket 6-links, hopefully in the end. Culling Strike with a Frenzy on another Mana Forged Arrow support. Life Tap included to trigger the Mana Forge, of course. Very simplistic stuff if you are familiar with the Mana Forged tech. Now, I am planning certain gem setups, which most likely will require me to remove Life Tap as well as Culling Strike. But we'll see how that turns out, because I'm not entirely sure how the percentages of my mana reduction plan are going to work. And if my primary skill costs no mana, I can't trigger Mana Forge, so I have to have some math there. But until then, we're just using this right now, and it works fine. In my gloves, we are using Haste, as well as Val Haste. Val Haste on the left click. Haste permanently active on the aura, as well as Precision. This allows me to not need accuracy on my gear, which is very, very good. I hope to add an Enlighten to this at some point as well, so I don't have to waste the mana reservation passive on the tree, which is requiring 3 skill points, which is a little rough, but it's better than paying out of the wazoo for your Enlighten this early. Because I need level 4 Enlighten, I think I calculated, which is pretty tight. Malevolence also pretty tight. More damage. It also works with our Watcher's Eye, which is very comfy. On top of that, also Flame Dash as our primary movement skill. I'm going to have to down level this at some point. Most likely if my int is going to be a little short. Doesn't really matter because we're just using it for the primary instant teleport. Very comfy beyond that. And our boots are empty. This may be confusing to some, but that's because of the new league mechanic we are using. We'll go over that in the passive tree. But those are my gem links right now. I'm not entirely sure if these are the best setups. I don't think they are. I'm still currently testing things out, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Maybe you have some recommendations. So let's talk a little bit about the passive tree. We'll start at the beginning. Pathfinder into Wildwood, and we'll talk about the tree because it is a work in progress and I've got some big plans for it as well. Passive tree, however, very simple. We pick up, of course, Nature's Adrenaline. We are a Pathfinder. Nature's Reprisal, because we're Poison, or Chaos at least. Master Toxicist, because we're Poison, and a Pathfinder. And Nature's Boon. Nature's Boon right now is what I am using because the vast majority of flasks are magic. Once I get my second unique flask, maybe even a third, but if I ever do get a second unique flask, and I am planning on getting one, I will most likely spec out a Nature's Boon and just take another minor note to help buff the Taste of Hate further and whatever unique flask I take beyond that. Maybe a Ruby or an Amethyst. Of course, the one from Uber Maven, Progenesis, my favorite. I think that's the one I'm looking out for the most, because then I can keep 2 magic flasks with regen and mana cost reduction. I think that's going to work out really, really well with the new belt, of course. Now, for Wildwood, I have not been able to find the King of the Mist's stronghold yet. I am over 100 maps over tier 14 in. I have not seen the stronghold yet, so I've been unable to actually get my final points. I'm not sure if there's a trick to it. Maybe somebody knows. But right now we're using the Coated Blade, obviously. This allows us to use the Tincture, which is the very foundation of our build. Without this, our build doesn't work. Nature's Concoction, which is very, very good because we do attack. This works on the adjacent ones. Very good, very lovely. Incredible, easy to have uptime on whatever you put it adjacent to. And then Oath of the Magi is why we have our boots empty, which is very good. Maybe in the future I'll set it up so that I can switch from boot gems, or no boot gems to no glove gems, so I can get some additional life when I'm doing Uber bosses. And for mapping, I switch to movement speed kind of thing. But otherwise, we'll see how it goes. Once I do find my second 2 points, I'm either going to take Vivid Wisps Found ×2, or I'm going to pick up Detect Evil. I'm not sure yet if Detect Evil is worth it or not. But it seems like you could do some really crazy things with in terms of quality of life when you do Legion. So maybe I'll become a Legion farmer, who knows. Other than that, that's it for the ascendancies. Right now, we're picking up some very familiar notes. If you are familiar with my Forbidden Rite techniques, we pick up some basic notables down here for the flask effect and the life. We do pick up Aspect of the Eagle. Lots of attack speed, accuracy rating, very, very good. We go down here for Finesse, Quick Step to help with the spell suppress on top of Intuition. This is very inefficient, but we'll plan to move that in the future. We're going up here because it's slightly more convenient than connecting the dexterity point here. As a result, we can pick up Charisma, we pick up Wasting. I'm currently running with Chaos Mastery. I might unspec that because I think I have enough hits, especially with projectile speed being figured out in the future with additional hits on top of that. I don't think I need this mastery, which would save me a point. Pick up Revenge the Hunted for some more life. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep that. We'll see how it turns out. Hunter's Gambit with Bow Mastery because we desperately need accuracy. Once my precision is maxed out, I can fine-tune it, but I think I'm always going to keep this one. It is slightly better than the 500 accuracy mastery that gives you 300 total at max level. This will give us 400 total because I plan to have 4 green sockets in my bow. Pick up the flask mastery right here on Careful Conservationist with the 4% recover on life. We are a Pathfinder. We're constantly charging. And the fact that the tinctures also super juice the 2 flasks next to it and giving it charges, this has become even more valuable now. We do pick up multi-shot because additional projectile. Pick up Inveterate because spell suppress, obviously. I have a special gem here, that which was taken. The only note that I have here that really matters is chance to phasing. I'm planning to get a spell suppress one, which will help me be spell suppress capped. I'm very close. And then whatever good I can get on top of that would be lovely. Maybe it's more recoup. Maybe it is the elemental resistance. I'm not planning on it though. There are some really incredible notables here that you can run that are really going to change the foundation of the build in a positive way or crank it up. This duel is busted. Like these which was taken duel can have some busted combos. Keep an eye out on it. Any build can use it and will be benefiting from it greatly. Master Fletcher, additional arrow, speaks for itself. The more arrows with Scourge arrow or even Caustic arrow is just like more damage due to the way they have designed it. So it's incredible. Acuity, more accuracy, speaks for itself. Pick up the Herbalism. Just for the life notes, they're very efficient, 6% and 10%. Some of the best life notes in this corner of the Atlas tree. Or not the Atlas tree, the passive tree. We pick up Swift Venoms. Poison on hit. Like I said, this is one of the ones I might switch, depending on if I'm going to keep the Herald or not. We do pick up the Poison Mastery to make ourselves pseudo-crit immune. Very powerful for not wanting to die. Natural Remedies. Going on the top for more flask effect duration. Check POB always if flask charges used or reduced use or duration is better. Oftentimes for me, I find duration to be slightly better, but it's up to you. Remove Maim and Hinder, also very, very lovely. Pick up the Entrench, pretty much just for the spell suppress. We're going to need it in the end, due to the fact that we don't have access to the glove or a body armor with spell suppress, nor can we use the mastery since we have Asenath. So we have to use these 2 points to compensate for that. It is what it is. And then, of course, Thick Skin, which is more life notes and also the ability to become avoid elemental ailments. Or with the avoid elemental ailments from this wheel, we become elemental ailment immune. Because we get 20 from that wheel, 20 plus from the gem I showed you here, and then, of course, the 60 from the boots. Very, very lovely. What's also very lovely is the fact that we have Dusk Essence Large Cluster Jewel, which gives us, of course, Unholy Grace and Unwavering Evil. Unwavering Evil is kind of important here, more so than I would have on my other Chaos builds, because I am, for the first time ever, using the Immutable Force and Blood Notch tech. This is how I am dealing with a big part of my squishy nature as a bow user. Now, clearly these gems are definitely capable of being upgraded, but to combine those two with Unwavering Evil, and you pretty much don't notice any kind of like stagger stuns because you always feel like you're attacking anyway, and your spells are instant, so it feels like you're not really getting stunned at all, which is very, very good. And you get massive regen from it. Kind of like a reverse recoup mechanic that we use in the Forbidden Rite. Basing it off myself hits, now I'm basing it off the enemy's hits. Very lovely. On top of that, we pick up Fatal Toxins, go down for the poison. Again, pick up the faster Poison Mastery. Very, very strong, very quality of life. Might go to the top end because Dot Multi is very, very powerful. If we keep the Herald and we have the points, we do pick up Clever Thief and Life Mana on hit. This is going to be a big part of our mana sustain and life sustain due to the many hits we have. I might even pick up excess sustenance in the future just to really bring it home. Blood Drinker with basic life mastery speaks for itself. I could actually pick up the life cost mastery here if my mana does become an issue, which kind of is at the moment. Speaking of mana, we pick up Mind Drinker, not because we need to, but because we need the mana mastery. This is going to be completely unspec'd once we have the Enlightened 4. Might put it into some medium clusters. Like I want to get Alchemist Genius, for example. Desperately need that. We do pick up Written in Blood with the mandatory stun threshold based off your energy shield. Now we have very little energy shield, so we're constantly getting stunned with every hit, which is why we can force immutable force and blood notch value to be very, very high. That's kind of the tech there, right? And I'm currently working on getting influence. I do pick up the reservation efficiency here already because I am running a bunch of auras. And maybe I'll pick up a mastery there for increased damage, because there's not a lot of like percentage damage on this build, so it's still very valuable. So we have much to go. One of the things I want to do is getting a thread of hope in this area, so I can maybe do a bunch of reservation of points, or maybe even one of those timeless jewels for more conversion if I want to become even tankier. But yeah, it's definitely a work in progress. But hopefully this gives you a bit of an idea. It looks very similar to my Forbidden Rite tree, almost identical. It's just that as opposed to getting recoup and casting shenanigans, it's just bow stuff. So it's like almost a one-to-one in that sense. Very lovely, very familiar. So I know this build is going to be good in the end. We're just going to have to crank up the gear, get the couple of more levels, and we're going to absolutely smash everything. It's kind of the... I'm setting it up to make it feel like it's the attack version of Forbidden Rite. So it should kind of feel familiar. Hopefully you like it. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and I will see you guys next time when I update the video. Cheers. I'm out.